is our final class of the week, and we're marrying up a fair few different areas of the body. We're going to be doing shoulders, spine and ankles. So let's get straight into it. Hopefully you've done your sun salutations to start, to warm up, so 3 or 4 of those, or 5. Start pedaling this downward dog position. Take the right foot into the sky, right foot comes in between the hands, and then just bring the other foot in until we come into this forward fold position. Don't need any equipment for this class apart from a wall, so make sure you've got a wall nearby, which hopefully shouldn't be too hard. Bend the knees, hands come together, rise up into the sky, big back bend, and then come back towards heart centre from that point. Now pick up your left foot and start a hinge backwards, step through towards the rear and bring both of your feet round like so. And just from this point here, we're going to have a little bit more of a warm up through shoulders, back and also hips as well, to be honest with you, in this straddle position. Going to interlink our fingers behind our back, slowly come over the top. Start with a little bit of dynamic movement, and then we'll go into these deeper dynamic stretches. Keep coming back and forth. And this should give us a good sense of the areas of our body that we're going to be opening up today. And back up towards the top. Turn the feet out towards the sides. So you've got the toes pointing outwards, heels pointing inwards. And I want you to take your hands up into this goalpost position. Alright, imagine American goalpost anyway. That'll be the British goalpost. Have your hands up like so. And I just want you to start to turn through the spine. Rotating from left to right. Push the knees outwards as you do this. Here, look, keep driving the elbows backwards, and you'll feel yourself hit that end of range towards the right, end of range towards the left. Now make it a little bit more fluid. You can see there I'm starting to bring the breath into it. Come back to the central point. Hands come together, straighten up the legs. Bend over towards the right hand side. Over towards the left. Back over towards the right. Inhale to top, exhale to left. Sweep round. A bit of a circle there, or half a circle. Come forwards, back up towards the top. Once more either way. We'll go into our final warm-up exercise. Bend through the knees again, drive the knees outwards. Right hand comes underneath, left hand comes up and over. Open out through the chest as you do it. Rotate up to the sky as much as you can, because these are the areas we're going to work through. We're going to open up through the shoulders, working a bit of rotational movement through the spine. And we're actually going to be doing a bit of ankles today, like I said. Mainly working through the calves, up and round. Use the breath, back and forth. One more. Up towards the top. Turn the front toes towards the front of the mat. Hands come down either side of the front foot. Right foot comes back, and then drop onto your knees. Now, drop your right hand in towards the centre. Open up from this 4-point kneeling position. Stretch up to the sky as far as you can, and then thread the needle, come through, drop the shoulder down towards the floor. And try and go a little bit further every single time that you reach through. Really ground through this hand. And make sure you've got the shoulder over the second knuckle of the hand, and the index finger hand comes back down, right hand up into the sky, feed it through. Now first stretch is actually going to be really similar to this point where we thread the needle, we bring the arm through, and I'll show you on this side first of all, so you get a good viewpoint. I'm going to feed the arm through as far as you can, and I just want you from this point is grab that arm with the other hand. I want you to pull it away from you. Pull it away until you get that full range. And you get rotation through the spine, through this. Extend up over the top with the other arm, and then push in through the bottom side of this hand, and push through the top, the bottom side of the top hand, and you're creating this opposite reaction to each other to rotate the spine. Use the breath. Make sure the hips are directly underneath the shoulders. You get a little bit more from it. You get a stretch through the mid of the back here as well. Working through mid-traps, rhomboids. That's what usually happens when you're opening up through this position. You then get some through the lats and the pecs on this top arm as well. Keep trying to walk that hand out, palm facing upwards. Another 20 seconds or so. We're coming towards the end of this week where we are pretty much, we're staying in stretches for very long periods of time. And people find it hard to just be with themselves and stay in these positions. But the developmental stretches need this. Slowly come out of that stretch. Both hands directly underneath the shoulders. Do a couple of cat-cows. Then we'll go to the other side. So plant the right hand into the centre, left hand into the sky. Feed it underneath. Again, from this angle here. Grab onto the wrist. Pull the arm away a little bit more. So you can get a slight increase in rotational pressure there. Right hand comes up over the top. Every time you exhale, push in through the bottom side hand. That's the place where you're going to mainly get most of the stretch from, and create that contraction to allow you to rotate into the stretch a little bit more. So it's more of an active stretch than passively letting gravity pull you down. Stay in this one for about 90 seconds. Then we'll go on to another shoulder stretch. Might be quite awkward for a few people. See how it goes. Just another 30 seconds there. Feel it move into the deep stretch. Keep rotating up to the sky. That's 2 breaths. Slide the hand down, come up. Again into cat-cow. Give the shoulders a couple of twirls. And this is the next one for your deltoids. You're lying on your front. And basically what you're going to do is quite similar to getting into the position that we've just been, but you're lying flat on your front. So you're taking, this is the opposite to what we did on the last one. is that we are using this gravitational pull to get more of a stretch. And I'm literally lying on my right arm here. And I want you to bring your body over the top of this arm. Okay? So you're rotating the whole body around the arm that's outstretched underneath. And you'll start to get a deep stretch through, well, a little bit of a stretch through your mid-deltoids, maybe a little from the posterior as well. And you can even reach this arm out towards the front. And that will increase the stretch even more. And that can become quite intense. We're only going to do one arm here. You could actually do both at the same time if you wanted to, but if you want to speed things up a little. But usually the underside arm, this arm out to the side and closest in towards me, will get the most of this stretch. And keep increasing the stretch just by rotating the body around towards the left hand side. Or you're rotating up towards the right and your body's going over towards the left. A fair few stretches today. This is the last stretch that we'll be doing on the floor. The next stretch that we will do is from using the wall. We've got quite a few stretches at the wall. Roll away from that arm. Place the left arm out. You can start on your side if you want to. Ground into the floor with that hand. And you can even pin it down with the other hand. But try to not have your shoulders hunched up towards your ears. Try and draw down that shoulder and roll the whole body over the top. And then come into that position again. And hopefully you've seen by the last couple of weeks how many different variations of stretches there are, and how, to be honest with you, how different the stretch is in each of these different positions. It hits different parts of the body, hits the muscle in different ways. The muscle isn't just a linear part of your body. It's multi-dimensional that needs to be pulled from all different directions, and if you don't stretch it from different directions, then you won't get as much from the muscle in regards to flexibility. To manipulate it in different ways, similar to training. If you come to a point where, just shuffle back so you can see a little bit better there. You can see my hand there towards the front. If you come into a position that, if you do a certain stimulus of training, your body gets used to it. So changing things up a little bit can actually create a different stress on the body and allow you to get a different type of adaptation. And that's what we're doing here with the stretches. Last 15 seconds. Now I'm going to change the angle so you can see better. Come up towards the top, roll around the shoulders, and we'll move towards the wall. Our next 3 or 4 stretches are going to be from the wall. This next stretch that we're going to do is based around the front of the chest, working in towards the pec minor. I like doing this in a kneeling position. I've seen a lot of people doing it from a standing position, using your body to rotate away from the arm. But by being in a kneeling position, it allows you to not have any, to lock the hips into place and stop you from not getting as much out of the stretch by rotating the lower limbs. And basically all you're going to do here is you are going to have your body flying towards the wall, And you see here I've got my arm in a 90-degree position. I'm going to place it behind myself, like so. Other hand comes out towards the side. And all I'm going to try and do is, I'm going to try and push my shoulder down in towards the wall, whilst keeping my arm here. And that's actually really hard to get your shoulder in towards the wall. And we just stay here, we draw down with this left shoulder, so it's not creeping up towards our ear. And if you want to increase the stretch, you can literally pull the mat this way. So you're pulling the mat this way, pulling yourself around. If you want to do this in a high kneeling position, you can do it in a high kneeling position. If you're happy there, then stay there. This is the high kneeling position. You can go in and you can use the wall to create this rotational pull. I prefer it down here though. Keep the arm in that 90-degree position. Keep drawing down with the shoulder. Open up through the chest. It's a good pec stretch. Try and keep nice and upright. Keep pushing the shoulder in towards the wall. Keep rotating away from the wall. And a few breaths there. Inhale deep into the belly. One more. Just come out of that stretch. Give the shoulder a couple of shrugs. I'll turn around onto the other side, you'll get a different view from here. Sit back onto your heels, pull yourself in towards the wall. Open a little bit of space out. Bring the elbow in towards the wall, hand into this high five position, and then draw the shoulder in towards the wall. Again, I push myself into the wall, so this motion with this left hand, but then I start to use almost a pull towards the front of the mat to allow myself to rotate. And if you can see me here with this left hand shoulder as well, if I creep forward, then I actually take away the stretch from my right hand side. So if I open out through this left hand side and activate through the shoulder, start to bring the mid traps into it in regards to engagement, then you'll get more out of the stretch on the right arm. Keep sinking that shoulder in towards the wall. And don't stress if you're not getting the shoulder down to the wall. It will get easier. The next stretch that we'll do will be a stretch for thoracic rotation, and you may get a stretch through the outer hip as well as a result. One more breath. Release away. Come down, give the shoulders a roll. And this next stretch, again using the wall as a point of fixation. Bring your left hip in towards the wall. Come into a 90-degree angle with this front knee. And what I want you to do from here is, I want you to ground in this left elbow towards the left knee. And you can bring both hands on top of each other. And then you're going to open up. So you're pushing down into this knee with this elbow, rotating upwards. And this allows you to get a deeper stretch rather than a lot of the time. What we tend to do is we tend to, if we're doing this in a lunge position, we can't get as much of a stretch because we're trying to hold our balance at the same time. To increase the stretch here, if that feels enough for you, then stay there. You can actually slide down your armpit towards your knee, and then from there, I don't even have to have my hands stacked. I can just pull in this arm in towards the knee, push my knee out towards my arm, and create this rotational force again. You see, I'm pretty much over my rotation, and I told you my rotation is probably one of the things that I've got a lot more range with. I'm using this breath so that I get a little bit further every time. Release from there. We go around the opposite way. So right leg's in, jammed in towards the wall, left foot's to the top. Set up your position so it's strong and you can get as much as you can from it. If you want to start with the hands in this position, leaning back against the wall, feel free. If you're already there, then drop that armpit down towards the wall and open up through the chest again. And I've actually, for me, not really feeling much of a stretch through not my spine, but through the musculature that surrounds the spine. I'm feeling it more through the outer left hip, which I talked about in one of the previous classes that I was a little bit tighter on. And don't worry about if you see me looking up towards the sky. It's not about how far you can look up, it's about how far you can rotate the shoulders around. Rotating through. We're going on to the next stretch, which will be, we'll take a step away from the shoulders and move down towards the calves. From the spine, actually, this stretch. One more breath there. Rotate upwards. Come out of the stretch there. Now, for this next stretch, you need the wall. And we're just manipulating our position. It might be a traditional stretch that you've maybe seen before, but just by getting the most out of the stretch by little coaching points, it'll be a lot more effective. Take your hands against the wall, step back with your left foot, and then try and jam your heel as far in towards the crease of the wall as you can. Don't just plop it onto the wall. Really sit down and try and jam the heel in. And you're going to pull the hips forwards and straighten out through this front leg. The stretches that we've done previously have been more geared up around the soleus, the one joint muscle, but we're extended through the knee, and also we're into dorsiflexion here of the foot, the ankle. So that'll allow us to really open up through this two joint muscle. You may even get a stretch down your hamstring here, but the whole emphasis of the stretch is pulling the, once you've got the foot locked into place, is pulling the hips in towards the wall. I always do the stretch with my running club that I run, and at the end of the sessions, and just by manipulating the position of the hip, we can start to hit the lateral head and also the medial head of the calf. We're going to do that now. Just turn this foot inwards slightly, and I want you to try and lock the leg into place, but I want you to move the hips around to the right hand side and see if that shifts the stretch to a different part of the body. You could also do that stretch by Still pulling the hips in, but letting your foot come out to a different angle. So the foot will go to the inside or will go to the outside, depending on what part of the gastroc that you want to stretch off. You move round with the hips away this time, so the leg stays in the same position. I get a lot deeper stretch coming this way than I do going to the inside. Keep pulling the hips in, but turn the body away. Leg is locked into place. Just creating that bit of torsion to allow us to get that full stretch from the calf in these different areas. Release off. Put the toe into the floor and just rotate the ankle around a couple of times before we go into the other. Again, sit down with the right knee, pull the heel in towards the wall. Then the hips come in and you straighten out through this bottom leg, extending through the knee joint. Which side feels tighter for you? Make note of it. And it's interesting when you're thinking that. I talked a little bit about running and how I was tighter through my left hip. I'm actually tighter through my left side in general. So that just says to me that, well, maybe I'm more dominant through my left hand side when I'm running, or maybe I'm a little bit weaker through that side. Now I know that actually my left hand side is stronger than my right. So I may be favouring my left hand side subconsciously not really knowing about it. And this is why when we're thinking of things like running is not just going out and running, but thinking about what our form is like when we run. And not even just in running, but anything in life. This is how this crossover from what we do on the mat has a crossover into your life as well, because you start to notice the patterns that you have. Alright, turn to the inside, and some of the patterns might be counterproductive to you functioning properly. So you need to really have this mindful awareness of movement at all times. Don't just move and think, well, this is just how I move. It's the same with flexibility. I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm just inflexible, but they don't do anything about it. So you are going to be inflexible if you don't do anything about it. The same as saying, well, I can't run, I've swung forwards, I've got bad posture. Well, guess what? If you're not mindfully aware of it and you don't try to change it, then you are going to have that. And whatever you push out into the universe by saying things is what you become. So you have to be careful about what you think, what you say, how you act. Everything needs to be mindful awareness. This is how we progress and this is how we grow as human beings. Pushing with the hips in towards the wall. See, I'm turning out, keeping that foot in exactly the same position. A great release here. Some other good forms of release, you've obviously got stretching, but also myofascial release. Using foam rollers, using physical therapy in regards to manual therapy in terms of massage. But ultimately we want to be able to do all these things ourselves and not rely on something external. And that's what Lone Wolf is all about, is about you having this empowerment to take the bull by the horns and you creating positive change in your own life. Alright, take that foot off the wall, move around with the ankle. Couple times, pedal it out. Last stretch here for the opening up through the shoulders. Very similar to the puppy pose, but we haven't got bent knees, so puppy pose is this one. And usually find people have issues with pinching in the front of the shoulders, and I said this on one of the previous classes, is that, well, we need to be aware of why we're doing that, and we need to engage the muscle as well to get the stretch rather than just moving into the joint. From here I want you to take a good step away, so I'm probably about 2.5 steps away from the wall, maybe 3, and take my feet about shoulder width apart, and I bring my hands out in front of me here. I want you to have them so they're directly in front of the shoulder, and then take one step up in regards to our hand's length. And remember, from that point, you want to tilt the hips into an anteriorly tilted position, so tilt the hips and drop the chest down towards the wall. You see here I start to open up through, but rather than just let my shoulders go, look what I do here. A subtle activation of the shoulders, and then I let my chest sink down towards the wall. Now I can walk my feet in a little bit further and have my chest to the wall, but I think it's good having this bit of distance, because if you can actually push the bum out towards the rear, you can sink through the chest. You can get a fair bit through the thoracic spine, and you can also open up through the shoulders. But if you want to explore different areas, you can walk the feet in and try and sink the body down onto the wall. You can look up, you can look to the side, but I think if I'm stepped away a little bit more, I can create this activation which allows me to protect the shoulder, but at the same time get a really good stretch. And by activating through the muscle, you're stretching a different part of the muscle as well. Keep sinking down towards the wall. And 20 seconds there. Keep it out. 2 more breaths. Out of the stretch slowly. Give the shoulders a move around, however feels natural for you. Intuitively move the shoulders, and we'll go to the mat for the next stretch and the final stretch. And we'll move to our final stretch now, a really good stretch for your QL. We did a very similar one the other day for the deep spinal flexibility, where we had our back against the wall and we were coming up over the top. This one's a little bit more intense if you can get into the position. It's because you're literally locking your hips into place and you're moving the top half of the body, which just allows you to open up through the whole of the side body, hitting that QL muscle. So we come in with the sole of the foot into the inside of the right foot, and we just warm ourselves into this first of all. So I want to take your hands up into the sky and forward fold, and just do that 3 times for 2. Exhale as you come down, 3. And then take your right hand and even your whole of your right forearm, pick up your knee and try and reach down as far as you can to the bottom of your heel. Yeah, pretty hard to get there. And I can feel a stretch there already into that position. Take your hand onto your back end. I'm just going to do 3 of these. So for 1, open up, 2, and 3. Now this might be you, this might feel enough for you. If you want more, you can stretch out over the top and just hold here. If you want to increase the stretch, you remove the arm, hold on to the outside of this knee, and then you grab onto the foot. And you'll be thinking, maybe you're thinking, how the hell are you grabbing on your foot? But using time to and gravity to let you send yourself down, you get closer and closer to this foot. And now I'm in this position, I can pull through on this knee and pull up with my
hand on my toe and rotate my body upwards, and I start to hit this QL muscle. Really isolate it. You may even get a stretch through your hamstrings on the right leg here at the same time. And stay for a bit of time. Every time you release the breath, you start to push the chest up towards the sky. Open up. You move the hand down over the foot, but go for rotation over, trying to reach out. Couple more breaths in. From there, rotate out. Do a counter stretch, push around to the other side. Straighten the legs out to the front. And take the hands behind if you want to, and just mobilise through the spine a few times. And then go for the right hand side. Final stretch of this class. Bring the sole of the foot to the inside of the left groin. From there again, square the hips off, hands into the sky, exhale, fold. For 1, 2, 3. Alright, take your left hand underneath the left calf. Right hand under the back of the head, open up a few times. For 1, 2, 3. Again, if you want to stay there, you can stay there. If you want to increase the stretch, reach through to the knee and then come up over the top. And use those two counteracting forces to draw you up towards the sky. We'll hold here for 90 seconds or so. Try and feel that release. If you're holding your breath, you're not going to get anything out of it. Keep breathing, keep urging the body to relax. Let it fall away. Focus contraction in the right places to get stretch in another. Just another 20 seconds. Another 3 or 4 breaths. Rotate out of that again. Both legs towards the front. Mobilise through back a couple of times. And there you go. Well done. You've completed all the classes for the second week. Look forward to the third. It's coming up.